Welcome back. You're still watching Nile Cruise, and moving to the first topic of this edition of Nile Cruise. And the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has presented Egypt's vision on efforts being made to settle regional crisis in front of the UN's General Assembly. Sisi has also presented current political and economic developments in Egypt in front of the UN GA in New York. We'll be discussing this and more with the Ambassador Adel Adawy, and he's also the former assistant to the Foreign Minister. We'd like to thank you very much for joining us, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Good afternoon, sir. First of all, how do you see the speech of the President at the United Nations General Assembly, especially with the various topics that he addressed, with the stress on combating terrorism, as well as his speech to Israel and Palestine?
I think it was a very important speech. As you may know, that we are facing a lot of problems around us, and we are trying very hard to stand despite all what is surrounding us. In fact, the President talked about everything, which is connecting the area, the very important things, and how we can deal with it. And everybody is following him, because what we are doing is not just talking. We are doing things on the ground. We are doing whatever is possible to be united in this country, to be solid, to be improving and doing a lot of things. And so really I feel that he tried very hard in a very short sentence to explain that situation to all the international community. And this is a very good chance that we can clarify everything to everybody. So as many heads of states and the head of governments and all nations, they were there listening and trying to understand what's going on in the Middle East. And so in fact he mentioned most what we are facing and how we can overcome all these problems. And it was clear. As was, I was listening to it, and I felt that in a very simple words that he was explaining everything clearly as much as possible, so we can let people understand, because as you may know, the media, they are not covering very well what is going on the ground. So it was a very good chance that he can explain to everyone on earth what is going on in Egypt, and with so many topics. Really, everything was very important that he could explain.
So more than 2 years in the presidency, and this is an important speech, like you mentioned. How do you see the level of maturity and of the speech from a perspective of an expert within the foreign ministry? How do you see the development of the president's speech and the content also towards the UN?
Really, I feel, now, as you may know, that we are living now in a very small world. Everybody is following everything on the internet and is knowing what is going on. And so you cannot cover anything. What is going on in Egypt is very important, because we are doing a hard work on the ground, and that many people, they don't realize that. Even many Egyptians, they do not understand what's going on in the Suez Canal area, what's going on in the South Egypt, North Egypt, Western Egypt, in China. In all places there is a lot of activities on the ground. And in the same time, from the foreign policy news, we are trying to be in touch with everybody. We don't want to be an enemy to anyone. Really, we feel that we need people to cooperate, to develop without any hatred. And exactly that's what we are doing. We are not against anyone. We never condemn anyone or try to be hard. So many countries try to be against us. But we take it easy. We try to overcome things, because we don't want to have more enemies. We don't want to have more people to stop us what we are doing. But at the same time, we are working in one line, which is improving the situation everywhere, especially in the foreign policy and on the ground. And in fact, what attracted me the most in the speech, when he said, I'm not going to read, but really I just want the Israeli people and the Israeli government to understand that they have to find a way to solve the problem, because this is the main problem which create all what is going on around us. Terrorism, all these things is started by the Palestinian question, because the Palestinians were suffering for so many years. Imagine, from more than 60 years, we are following the same policy, and the Israelis, they are facing, doing the same policy. They are gaining on the ground every day, while we are losing on the ground every day. The only time which we were able to realize something, when we talked directly to the people of Israel. When our late President Sadat, when he went to talk inside the Parliament of Israel, he was very courageous to do that. He didn't care, but he wanted to talk directly to the people. So he was able to return all the Egyptian territory, and that was the first time that we were able to get things. So I think what President Sisi mentioned this affected me, because since our childhood we are following the Palestinian culture, and we are losing every time. But I feel now these little things which the President said in the United Nations, I think all the Israeli people will take it very seriously. And we felt that after he said that, all the people, they applauded, because they felt this is something strange in the policy. And really, as an experience in this field, I feel that if the Israelis will follow what the President said, this will be a good chance that we will have peace in the area, and we can develop the area for the sake of the Arabs, for the Palestinians, and for the Israelis. And we can create an area of activities and economy that could be part of the international community, a very important part of the international community.
Mr. Ambassador, also another topic that was quite important that the President stressed on was combating terrorism. And he mentioned it in different ways at different parts of the speech. Not only that Egypt will combat it, but also he spoke about how the international community and the various countries of the world should do that. So, and the new interesting point was the stress on the role of the UNESCO, the idea of cultural combating. Yes. And he even talked about the online networking. Yes. And that was a different approach to combating terrorism. Usually when we usually talk about military intervention, but now the President is talking about cultural awareness and the role of the UNESCO and interfering with the online as well. How do you see that?
I think this is very important, because everything in our new world is very connected. You cannot do politics while your economy is not in good condition. You cannot do politics while you have not people who can understand what's going on around the world. So, if you want to combat terrorists, you cannot only go fighting them. No, you have to see the basis of all this. Why? Those people who are connected with terrorism, they are people who cannot understand very well what's going on. So the people, they have little culture. Those people, they are not educated very well. Or they have very bad ideas about what's going on the ground. So I think if we really keen to combat terrorism, we not only by force, but we have to use we have to develop our economy, to let people have a much better life. We have to change the culture things to make everything clear and easy, to understand what's going on. to know the politics of dialogue. You have to talk and talk to others and to understand the other point of view. So this is the only way you can combat. If you in just all these fields, if you work hard, you will gain. And it's very easy. You have a lot of sources that you can fasten all your activities, and very easy. We have a lot of people who are very well educated. We have economy which we are building very fast, and all that. If you're working very hard, I think the Egyptian people will feel much better the way of life, and they will combat terrorism as fast as possible. And and I think that's exactly what we are doing, and that's why we are keeping the unity of Egypt despite all what is going on surrounding us in Iraq, in Syria, in Libya, in Sudan. We remember just a few months ago, Egyptians used to go to Iraq, to Libya to get money to send it back home to Egypt. Now we have 5 million of refugees from most of the surrounding countries, and we have at least 500,000 Syrians who are coming here, and they are having the same facilities as Egyptians. So really, what we are working, despite all what is going on surrounding us, that means that Egyptians, they are doing very well on the ground. They are building now their economy. They are trying to make Islam, moderate Islam, trying to make the role of Al-Azhar much more active. And that's why for the first time, for instance, now we see the Sheikh of Al-Azhar is going to many everywhere, and he's trying to explain the true vision of Islam. And that's exactly what we are need. We have in all fields, we have to work, and then that will give a good result to us.
Yes. You spoke about a very important point about the neighboring countries and the region. So Egypt is suffering economic challenges today, and with the significance of having neighboring countries that are not stable politically is also affecting the country by itself. So looking at the situation in Libya, like you mentioned, and Sudan, so it is about the surroundings of Egypt is not also healthy to enable the development, the economical development of Egypt. So how are you seeing today's situation with Libya, and what is the importance of reaching to a political state where there is a sort of stability and consensus politically?
This is very important. We are working very hard to bring peaceful solutions to most of the problems around us. We are trying in Syria, for instance. We followed what the President said about Syria, and he said that the only way is to bring moderate people around to let them talk. And he gave an example about what happened in Egypt a year ago when all the opposition leaders of the Syrians, they came and they reached an agreement. They were about to implement it. And I think exactly, and as you said, Libya, for instance, that's why we feel, for instance, that the Libyan army is an army which is supported by the parliament and by the people of Libya. That's why the army, despite they don't give him any armaments, still trying to play a role on the ground in Libya. That's why we feel that we have to find solution to all the surrounding neighboring countries, because that will help the development of all nations around us. But that will not stop us doing our economy, and we are working very hard to do our economy. And I think from the visit to the president, so many businessmen in the United States, whom many people say they were behind all the conflicts around here, but in any way, they are ready to come and support. And the president said that we are going to change the investment law, that would let everything easy, and that was done according to what the businessmen asked for, and that's why we are doing very fast change. But in Libya, why we are supporting the army? Because this is the only thing which is belong to the authority, which is supported by the parliament, which is fighting terrorism, And for instance, we see now after a few days of when he get all the oil fields in the on north of Libya, they start to today I think for the first time they are exporting the oil outside Libya. That means those people, they can do something, and when they get money and then they start to get people together, then they build their own country. Then we will have neighbors which they are supporting us, not bringing terrorism to our country. So we need to do a lot of efforts, and that's what we are doing in fact on the ground, to find a peaceful solution to all the major problems around us. When we succeed, then we go for
beyond.
After later on.
Mr. Ambassador, during his speech, the President vowed to be involved in Africa and that the security of the African country is a top priority for Egypt, especially with Egypt presiding the African Peace and Security Council. And he talked about issues like the south of Sudan, the Sudanese Republic, he talked about Burundi, Somalia and other African countries, and he stressed on the involvement also of Egypt in the United Nations peacekeeping forces. Isn't that quite a big responsibility that we vowed for in front of the United Nations, that we will be taking upon our shoulders to try to resolve the African issues or to help our African neighbors and countries?
You know, I could tell you, we are doing as much as we can. We don't we are not exaggerating, you know, in helping, but we are trying very hard to help in many fields, which is possible for the Egyptians, and in the same time to make us doing a much better role, because you cannot leave your neighboring African country suffering while you are doing nothing. So what we are trying is to let them cooperate. We try to help them as much as we can, and so I think step by step our cooperation will develop a lot of things, and I know many experiences in Africa which Egypt was able, with very limited resources, to do a lot of activities. Africans really, they need a lot of things, and we have you know, but we are not exaggerating in that. I know we are also suffering a lot. We are trying to improve our situation, but as I could tell you, when we will have more resources, then we will help more the African, because whatever you give to Africa, you will have a lot of cooperation, and that's exactly what we are in need. For instance, now in all the big countries, they are trying to help the Africans to face the major problem which they are facing now in the climate change and all these things. And last year we were able to be they elected us as head of the African group, which is dealing with the climate effects, and we're trying very hard with the superpower to let them pay more to help the Africans who are suffering more from that. So we are trying to let people help, not only us, but we are trying to let others also to help the Africans. And I could assure you, as much when we are now building our economy, if we will have more resources, then we will help the African, and that will have mutual benefits. Africans will gain from that, and also we will gain, because we will share our experience with the Africans, and we will have a lot of trade with them, a lot of economy. We can see how we can get much water from the south, and a lot of things. So it's important that we will be involved in the African, because we used to have a lot of cooperation with Africa before, and now we are turning back with much more effect.
Yes. So, sir, from a foreign policy perspective, and you have a long history in that, what do you think should be done differently today to support, the foreign policy and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs?
I think the Foreign Ministry is now walking in the right direction. She is not, you will not see the Foreign Affairs involving itself to something which will hurt any relation of Egypt with any other country. We are trying to keep our relation with all countries in very good condition as much as we can. We accept all kind of relations as long as they don't interfere in our politics or in our policy in everywhere. So as long as they are not interfering, then we will have any good relation with any country, and that's exactly what the Foreign Ministry is doing now, opening hands to every country which is really ready to help and cooperate. And that's exactly what now the international community needs. Now the international community is not like before. Now the foreign policy, you cannot decide.
Mr. Adel, we will interrupt you, but we'll get back with the same thought. We will move to a short break and returning back with you. Thank you very much for the insights so far. Let's move now to the short break and returning back with Ambassador Adel. Welcome back. You're still watching Nile Cruise, and we're still joined with the former Assistant Foreign Minister, Ambassador Adel Adawy. I'd like to thank you once again for joining us.
No, it's my pleasure.
And you were speaking actually a bit about what could be done differently in order to support the foreign policy of Egypt. So maybe we can get back to your talk.
I think what's the most important thing is that you work on the ground in your country. When you people, because the foreign policy is supported, but supported by what is going on the ground in your country. If you talk something and you do something while you are doing something else inside your country, you will not gain anything. And I think that's why we are gaining now in our foreign policy, because people, they are following very well what's going on the ground in Egypt. What you are building under the Suez Canal, broadening the Suez Canal, building tunnels, building roads, trying to make the investment flow very easy for people. People around the world, they feel that really you want to be part of the international community, part which could help the international community and to have much more better economy. So I think that why our foreign policy is very is working in the right channel now, because it is supported with what is going on the ground by the Egyptian people. So everything is connected. You cannot do a foreign policy while you have a problem, while you have, for instance, terrorists around on the streets, while you are not building roads, or while you are not helping investors to come. So that's why I feel that for the first time people, despite, the problem is that people start to understand that you are going well, but there's a lot of elements around the world. They don't like to see Egypt like that. They try to stop Egypt. They want Egypt to be part of the other countries around us, which is divided, with people leaving their own country, going abroad, going to the sea, and everything. But so those people, they see work on the ground, and also they see foreign policy, which is opening hands. You don't want enemies. You try to be good with everyone. So why they hate you? Despite in their politics, they want to make a problem for you, but you put them in a corner that you make it difficult for them to make problems for you. We are trying very hard. They try very hard to stop you, but I think we are going now, for the last 2 years, we are working very good to overcome problems and go straight. That's why Now, for instance, in Washington, in New York, you see Trump and Hillary. Both of them went straight to the president to talk what's going on. And we hear for the first time from Trump saying they are going to support Egypt. And this is never, ever heard it before from any American candidate that he is going to do. And he is doing that despite we understand that he is depending mainly on the Jewish lobby. And despite that, he said, we will be good friends. So there is something going on. And there is something going on in Egypt. I think with my old experience, I'm an old man as you see, I follow what is going on. I worked with many things in a very important position in Egypt. But for the first time, I see really people, we are working in the right channel. I'm far now from the foreign policy, from the government. I see that they are working. They have a lot of problems. Every day they see something which is a product of so many years of going down. But despite that, we go on, we go on. We hope that we all be united so we can really build Egypt with a civilization which our grandparents they used to have. We need to have the Egyptians with all pyramids and all this, while there was nobody doing that. So I think if we will be united, we work hard on the ground in Egypt, we will have a very good support to our foreign policy, and people, so many people will see that really Egypt is something new coming up which will help the international community overcome the problems which they are facing.
Well, Ambassador Adel Al-Awadi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you very much for this insightful interview. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much. And now we will be enjoying together our own cruise online, which tells us about what's trending online. So let's view it together.